Welcome to Sports Saved My Life. My name is Clayton Freck, and I'm the CEO and founder of Angel City Sports. We know the power of sport to change and, in some cases, save lives. We hear these compelling stories every day, and we created this show to share them with the world. Enjoy the show, and remember to like, follow, share, and comment. All right, so today I'm really thrilled to welcome Terry Hayes to the show. She was born in Fremont, Nebraska, and grew up in Tidewater, Virginia. She's the daughter of an Army veteran who served in World War II. And Terry also joined the Army, spending a couple years as a heavy equipment operator. She's always been a really athletic person and competed in race walking, softball, marathons, and cycling races. In 2011, Hayes started to lose her balance and started to fall more often. And at the time, she was diagnosed with primary cerebellar degeneration, an incurable but treatable neurological disease. And we'll hear more about that in a minute. And in 2017, at the age of 58, she found Paralympic fencing and has not looked back since. In fact, she's the oldest female Category B athlete competing in the world. She's a highly ranked fencer and has literally traveled around the world competing to represent the United States. And she recently got the news that she was selected to the Tokyo Paralympic team. I can't wait to watch her in Tokyo. Welcome to the show, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You got it. So Terry, what comes to mind, and feel free to get philosophical here, when you hear the title of our show, Sports Saved My Life?
That for me, it's very true.
Mm.
For me, it's very true. And sports can change so many people's lives in so many wonderful ways. It's a great avenue to get up, get out, get active, be busy, engage with more people. So I think it's a perfect title for this show.
Where do you think you would be without sport right now?
Ooh. I think I would not be nowhere near as active as I am. And I could see myself spending a lot more time inside, not so much time outside. And probably I wouldn't have as much contact with other people,
Yeah.
that's for sure. I've met tons of wonderful people through parafencing and traveling the world. I've enjoyed every minute of it. And it's motivated me to attempt to reach new goals, and a big whopper goal I just met. And it just kept me moving right along. It gave me a purpose, something to do that was fun, that was exciting. I got to travel, meet people. It's been wonderful.
I love that. Thank you. So describe yourself in one sentence.
Ooh. Um,
People love that question. Everyone's like, oh, come on, really?
um, Funny, active, energetic, artistic, sports loving, ball of fire.
Ball of fire. I love that. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about your childhood before we get into your disability journey. Talk to me
Okay.
about who you were as a little one. Talk to us about your upbringing. Did you get in any trouble? You got any good stories for us?
Um, well, my dad was in the Army, so I was born in Nebraska, but then at the age of 3 months, we moved to Germany to meet up with my dad, who was already stationed there.
Mm.
So growing up, I spent 6 years in Germany, 3 years the first time, came back 1 year, back 3 more years. And then my dad eventually settled in Virginia, where he finished out his military career and retired.
And how
Um,
long did he work? How long did he serve in the military? It sounds like a long career.
yeah, he was in for over 20 years.
Wow.
And then he went to work civil service, still serving the government until he retired from there.
Mm.
I have an identical twin sister and an older sister. And my twin sister and I got into not trouble, but some mischief along the way. fooling people because we look exactly alike.
Oh,
Um,
tell me a good story about that.
um, well, don't tell our teachers, but sometimes we would swap classes for each other
No way.
in, in school. Yeah, because they couldn't tell us apart. My grandma couldn't tell us apart.
What,
So that
so,
was,
what grades were you in when you did the swapping, and how many years did it last?
I think mainly we swapped in junior high and high school.
Oh, high
In
school.
elementary school, we we're always in the same class, so it didn't work out too good for us there. We were always sitting next to each other. And then I got to travel a lot as a kid with my dad being in the military because we traveled all around. Then I graduated from high school and I went to art college for a year
Yeah.
for graphic design. And then from there, we had all three of us were in college at the same time, which I felt like that was a huge financial strain on our parents. They
Mm,
never said that, but I felt it had to be. We all had loans, but still, it's very expensive.
yeah.
So my twin sister and I decided to follow my dad's footsteps, and uh, we joined the army. And off we went to basic training, where more fun ensued. Um, we were in the same platoon, and the drill sergeant would say, "Hayes," and then whatever it was, and we'd kind of give each other side eye and go, "Which one?" And then it would be, "Drop and give me 50," because that was seen as being disrespectful. So we got lots of extra push-ups in because we had the same last name. And
So
then one time on guard duty, had guard duty together. And so you pass like this. So it was like Hayes and Hayes and Hayes and Hayes. And the guys would be out there and go, "Is that one person? Is that two people? They got the same. I can't figure this out." So that was funny to us, of course. So
that's
over the
great.
years, we've had fun with it, that's for sure.
I can't believe those antics lasted into your adult years. It really cracks me up.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
When you look back on that childhood, and I have a lot of appreciation for military brats that move around a lot, because I did move around a lot as well. That, the product of a divorce and family being across the country from each other. What do you think? What do you think you learned from that kind of a childhood? I mean, you were even overseas in Germany. Uh,
Yeah.
like, what were the sort of the tools or the lessons that you learned from just being part of the military?
Um, I think flexibility is a big one.
Mm,
You have to be able to change schools, change friends, change environments, change everything you're doing. And usually every 3 years you had to change that. So you had to be flexible. I learned to be very organized in what my plans are and how I'm going to complete those plans. How to accept people from all cultures and
mm,
all nationalities, all religions. Um, that we're all the same. We come in different kinds of packages, but we're pretty much all the same.
mm.
And so I learned that as a child, and my mom and dad helped with that. That we're all in the same boat. We're just rowing a different oar. So
Right.
that's a lot of what I learned.
Yeah, that's beautiful. When you look back, what were the most challenging aspects of your childhood? Was it the travel, or were there other elements of your childhood that sort of created some stress on you?
Um, I would say maybe getting to a new location and halfway through the school year and you go in and everybody knows everybody and you don't know anybody.
Mm,
You don't know the layout of the building, you don't know the teachers, um, you, you don't know anybody on your bus, you just don't know anything, and that's a hard place to be as a little kid. um, so that costs a small amount of stress, but um, I've just always been the type of person that like to engage with other people and talk to other people. And I'm pretty much happy 99.9% of the time. So I would just be nice to other people and then they would warm up to me and okay, now I got new friends here. Let's hope we stay here a couple of
That's such a
years.
good strategy. I wish everyone employed it. So how do you stay happy 99.9% of the time? What are you doing that like keeps you in that state of mind?
I'm grateful for everything I have,
Mm,
whether it's the roof over my head. Um, Frida and I have been together 22 years. I'm so thankful and grateful for her love and support.
mm,
I'm grateful for wonderful parents that I've had, my two siblings that have been wonderful. I live in a great, great community. I mean, all the way down to when I wake up in the morning and I see the sun, I'm like, thank you, God, for another beautiful day.
mm.
I'm just thankful for everything. And I think if you have a thankful heart, you have a joyful heart, and then everything's good.
I, okay, I agree with you, but where does the gratitude come from? Were you always that way as like a little girl?
Um,
Or was that something that was sort of learned and developed over time?
I don't know. I think I've pretty much always been a grateful person and someone that wanted to share with other people and help uplift other people.
Mm,
If you have something that somebody else needs, why not share it with them?
right.
Um, I don't, I mean, I recycle, I never throw nothing away. If it's old clothes, I donate it to the thrift store so somebody else can buy it at a cheaper price,
Yeah.
and then they have something to wear. So I think it's all just a big circle and it depends on where you fit in it. And I like to fit in on the part that keeps going around the smiley face. So that's how I live.
Ah, oh, that's great. Okay, so talk to me about your injury while you were in the army, and because you mentioned earlier before the show that you think that was the beginning of your journey as it relates to your disability. And, to be honest, I haven't even heard about your disability. I obviously understand the effect that's having on you, but I'm really curious to learn more about the disability journey and kind of how it started and then how it progressed.
Okay. Um, I was doing what's called a fire maneuver course with live fire M16 rifle. And you run through the woods and there's a pair of people, and this one dives down um, and shoots while this one's running. So you cover
Yeah.
me, you're covered, running through the woods. Hopefully nobody gets hit. That's the object of the whole thing, to both end up at the other side. Um, and I was doing one of those training courses, and I took a hard fall. And of course, I had to get up and finish the course. You just don't lay there and go, wah, it's over with, you don't
Right.
have that option. So I got up and finished the course, and then I had to go to the doctor. I had a serious knee injury from that, that later required surgery. And that was the first big fall that I had. And then I had other falls that kept coming. And I thought, "Oh, I'm really a clumsy person, all this falls I'm having."
Mm.
I didn't really relate it to anything because I felt fine. I didn't feel bad at all. I didn't feel sick or anything. So that went on for a long time, and then it got where my balance was totally off. I would have to put my hand on the wall to walk down the hallway without falling. I would have to hold on to the counters in the kitchen. If I looked up, I fell flat on my back. A
Give
lot
me
of
the,
times I
give me the
fall.
ti- give me the timeline of that progression, because when you were in the army, that's late 70s,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
So through
Yes.
through the next 20, 30 years, you are maybe you feel like you're a little clumsy, but it's nothing that is so prevalent that you think it's a problem.
Right, because most of the time I just get up and dust myself off. And at first I wasn't falling straight on my back or straight on my face, you know, so it wasn't as dramatic. And I would just, get up and move on. Now, one time I did fall and I fractured my pelvis, and I
Mm.
still didn't realize it was because of that. I thought it was just the way I was cutting the grass. I must have pushed the mower wrong or something. But anyway, I still didn't.
And
come to me that I should be worried about it.
right. Oh, it's so interesting. So, and all this time, you're really active athletically.
Yes, yes, I was. Yes. Yep. I competed
So
in race
you're
walking and a marathon, and I played varsity lacrosse. And of course, you fall when you play lacrosse anyway, so who knew, you know? But when it got to the point where I was having trouble balancing, and then when I started falling backward, like boom, just like that, um, that was a wake up call for me. I said, I have to go
and 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 when you started having the more
to
serious.
and so I went, and she sent me to a balance clinic. Hmm?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I didn't catch that last part, and then I'll ask a follow-up question.
Okay.
Something happened, and then
So
you went to a
when
balance
it got,
clinic.
yeah, and then I started falling backwards where I would, you know, knock my head. And that's when I said, I have to find out what's going on. So I went to the doctor, and she sent me to a balance clinic. And
Mm.
I was a little upset. I was like, why do I have to go there? Just tell me what the heck is wrong with me. And she says, well, we need to do some tests to find out what's wrong with you. So I went there, and they did all kind of testing. And it was like 2 hours worth of test. And one thing they did, they put these black goggles on me, and I couldn't see anything, although the camera in there could watch my eyes. And I have nystagmus really bad, which is my eyes bounce around back in my head. And sometimes it caused double vision.
Mm.
Um, so from there, the therapist said, have you ever had an MRI of your brain? I said, no. And she said, well, I think we should get one. So anyway, I got one. I went to a neurologist, lots and lots of testing. They sent me down to Bascom Palmer Eye Institute in Miami to get Dr. Schatz to look at my eyes and figure out what the heck was up with my eyes. And he was an older gentleman, very nice. He pulled his chair up next to me, and he says, I'm going to draw a picture of your brain here. And he said, this right here, this is not working in your brain. That's
Mm.
why you got googly eyes. That's why you're falling on, falling backwards. Everything you're experiencing is right here. And so he said, you got a positive attitude, so that's a positive, and the best of luck in life. And that was it. And I came home, and then I
So
had a follow.
so that was your diagnosis that day with that doc?
Well, he sent a letter to my neurologist, and I got the letter. And when I got it and read it, it was devastating. And I bawled my eyes out, and I'm like, well, I can't wait till I go see the neurologist, because I hope this isn't what he's saying it is. So I went and saw her, and she said, well, we finally got a diagnosis. I said, that's good, but I don't think I'm going to like what it is. And I said, before you get started, I have to ask, is this going to kill me? And
Mm.
she said, no, it won't kill you, but it's going to make your life miserable.
Are
And
you
so,
serious?
yeah, that's what she told me. Well, I told her, don't sugarcoat anything. I want to know everything. Don't hold anything back. I want to know
Yeah,
exactly where I
but not sugarcoating is different than saying your life is going to be miserable. That's so dramatic.
well, I was already crying at that point. So I got myself together, and I had a whole list of questions prepared, because I'm always prepared. So I
And
asked all the
all this,
questions.
and sorry, Terry, all this is transpiring in around 2011, 2010, 2011. Is that the right
Yes.
time frame?
Yep.
So you've lived
Yep.
a really long, full adult life, and
Yes.
now in your 50s, right? You're dealing with this?
hmm Yep.
Okay, so you can start going through your questions, you're crying. What else is going on in your head there?
So I got myself together, and I just kept repeating, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. This is not
You
acceptable.
were
I'm not
saying
going to
that to
get
the
one.
doctor?
Yeah, I kept telling him, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. I will not live like this.
What
So
was she saying? What was she saying that generated that
she got a
response?
big, she got a big smile on her face, like, well, I bet you won't accept it. And I said, well, I don't think I have to. So I'm just going to live like I don't have this. So I said, well, tell me about the treatment. What can I do? And she goes, unfortunately, there's no treatment for this condition.
Mm.
And I said, well, how is this going to go? And she said, it's progressive. So it will go. I don't know if it'll be slow for you or if it'll be fast or if you'll go downhill, plateau, wait a while, go downhill, plateau. But eventually it's going to affect your upper body and your arms, and it could affect your breathing. So when I
So,
left there, I said to myself, well, that didn't really sound too good to me. So I figured I need to get it in high gear and live as much of my life with what I had left as hard and as long as I could. So I didn't look back and go, wow, I wished I would have done that when I could have done it. So that's how I've gone since then, just full speed ahead.
oh my gosh, I love it. So before we go full speed ahead into sport, which is really the primary purpose of this show, just walk me through that diagnosis. What is the medical, what's sort of happening from a medical perspective in your brain, and then how is it manifesting in your body? Because we hear the word progressive, it's sort of a scary word for a lot of people, but I
Right.
think you're going to be able to articulate the progression that you've seen just in the last decade pretty well. So like what really is happening in the brain, and then how is it manifesting for you?
Okay. The cerebellum is at the base of the brain, and it controls your movement,
Mhm.
and it also controls your eye movements and your body movements, and how your brain talks to um, your limbs to move. And that part of my brain is shrinking.
So that part of your brain is controlling a lot of things.
Right. Yes, a lot. Um, and for me, that's getting smaller. And as parts of that die off. So as it gets smaller, um, you progress further along um, the path to wherever you're going to end up.
Mm.
And for me, mine started back in the 70s, and it was slow, 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 slow. And then it picked up. Um, so for the last, I would say, the last 2 years, I've been pretty steady,
Mm.
um, and I'm paralyzed like mid chest down,
Okay.
um, and I'm very conscious of, uh-oh, has it creeped up any? You know, to see is it moving up. And so far, luckily for me, it hasn't. I've noticed some uh, weakness um, in my hands.
Mm.
So uh, with fencing, I'm using my hands all the time, and that's been helpful for me. I feel like for me, if I keep active, I can kind of like keep the door closed on this. Where if
So
I just sit
that's
down and give up, that door's just gonna slam and it's over with.
so
So I don't want to do that.
that's what I was going to ask you. And so I'd like to ask you that question, but break it into two parts. So
Okay.
when you think about the milder symptoms that you tolerated for the better of 30 years, late 70s to 2010-ish,
Hmm.
do you feel like your athleticism and your level of activity did sort of hold it back a, a little bit, or do you think it didn't matter? But now that it is progressing or has progressed a little quicker, you do feel like you're able to kind of hold it back by being really active.
Um, I don't know what a doctor would say about that. If they would say you're just kind of fooling yourself because it's going forward, whether you're along for the ride or not. I like to think no matter what disability you have, or no matter what health challenges you have, the more active you are, the better off you are, all the way around,
Hmm.
mentally, physically, and everything. So
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
me, it wasn't an option just to go, whoa, this is bad. Let me sit here and think about it the rest of my life. I thought, if I can do anything at all to slow this down and make life a little easier on myself and stay as healthy as I can, as long as I can, I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much what I've been doing.
I'd like to take a quick break to show you how you can get involved as a volunteer with Angel City Sports.
Are you interested in supporting Angel City Sports? We're seeking volunteers to help organize clinics and events, as well as support our athlete outreach efforts, marketing and media, and even fundraising and development. All skill sets and backgrounds are welcome in support of our mission to provide free adaptive sport opportunities for children, adults, and veterans with physical disabilities or visual impairments. For our younger athletes, we welcome you to join the Angel City Youth Leadership Council. Middle and high school age students are eligible to join the Youth Leadership Council, where you will learn about the disabled community by working side by side with our athletes and acquire important skills such as teamwork, leadership, philanthropy, and event management. To sign up for our volunteer newsletter and stay up to date on all upcoming opportunities, visit angelcitysports.org.
A few years after this formal diagnosis, or maybe shortly thereafter, you find adaptive sports and actually go to like a camp in Colorado or something. So talk to me about what was that process like? Did you even have, I call them sort of the dark period when you are in your head, you get a little depressed, overeat, overconsume, whatever to sort of cope. But did you even have a dark period after this, or were you just rocking and rolling? And when did sports enter the picture?
I think I did maybe for like 2 days. And then I said, this is not going to help me. It's not going to make me a nice person to be around. So we need to get this over with and get on with the program.
Wow.
So it wasn't long after I became paralyzed that I got a power wheelchair. I mainly use manual chair, like 99% of the time. But to go out or for long trips or whatever, I'll take a power chair. And I was zipping down a ramp, maybe a little too quick. And the front wheel got caught and catapulted me out in a driveway, and I broke my hip and femur. And I had to have extensive surgery and a rod put in from my hip to my knee, and go to a rehab hospital. And then I came home and I had rehab at home. And then I went to a wonderful VA hospital in St. Pete, Florida. Woohoo to the staff. They were excellent. And when I came home from there,
What year is that, Terry? What year is that?
That was 2017.
Okay.
2017. Because I didn't become paralyzed until 2017. That's when
you lost the use of your lower legs, essentially.
Yep. So after I broke my hip and I was at home getting therapy, I was just scrolling through Facebook one day and I saw this ad or an announcement for this Women in Wheelchair Sports Camp in Colorado. And it was going to be like 5 days, all these sports, they fly you out, they fly you back. And I'm thinking, I'm going to do that. So I talked to Frida about it and she said, I don't know if you're going to be ready to do that. And I said, well, I'll sign up. And if I can't go, I'll call and apologize, but I want to sign up. Yeah. So I signed up and then I went up to St. Pete VA hospital and had therapy there and came home. And I was still going back and forth once a week to get my hip x-rayed to see if it was healing up correctly. And what I thought would be my last visit, I asked the doctor, I said, he told me, he said, I think it's all healed up now and you're good to go. You can do whatever you want. So I said, can I ride a horse? And I think I kind of caught him off guard. And he's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. I said, okay, great. So I went to camp. And I did zip lining, horseback riding, aerial yoga, biathlon, swimming, sailing, bike riding. I did all kind of stuff. It was wonderful. I had a blast. And that kind of
it sounds great. I want to
It was great. It was wonderful. And so that kind of sparked the sports interest back in me again. And I said, hey, I got to get back into something here. I missed this. I have to do this. So when I got home, I thought, well, I don't have a boat, so I'm not going to pursue the sailing. And I don't happen to have a horse in my backyard, so I'm not going to be horseback riding. So I just Googled wheelchair sports and I saw Lauren DeLuca from the United States competing at the Rio Paralympics in parafencing. And I was mesmerized. I was like, holy cow, look at that. I was like, she's just all over the place. And you have a sword and you get to hit somebody with it. What better sport can you get than that? I mean, that sounded like perfect for me. So
it sounds like the the veteran coming out in you.
yeah.
Combat.
Well, it is a combat sport, so I'm like, okay, sign me up for that. So then I thought, how in the heck do you get started in that? I knew nothing about it. So I went on Facebook and I found a veteran women's fencing group. Little did I know, and they still don't know this. So if they see this, they'll know. I thought it meant military veteran fencers. No, it meant veteran fencers by age, women 50 up fencers.
Oh, that's really confusing.
So it is. To me, it was. So I got online and I'm like, I typed a little inquiry and I put my picture and I said, I'd really like to learn how to wheelchair fence. At the time, that's what they called it. And I don't know who to contact. I don't know anything about it. Can anybody here help me out? And the women were very helpful. They hopped on right away. Who on here knows about parafencing? Who knows bloom, bloom, bloom? So finally, I got an email for Jenny Boydston from USA Parafencing. And I sent her a little email and I said, I'm a paraplegic and I would like to learn to parafence. Can you tell me what I need to do? And I gave her my phone number. And she called me and she said, you need to find a local club and a coach that will agree to train you. And once you've done that, let me know and I'll tell you what to do next. I said, okay. So I opened up the phone book and I found a local club and I called and I talked to Charlie Johnson and I said, I would like to come and take beginner lessons. And he said, well, beginners are on Monday. Come Monday night. I said, well, there's something else. I'm in a wheelchair. And he said, well, I've never taught anyone in a wheelchair. And I said, well, I've never fenced. And he said, this is going to work out perfect. And he's still my coach to this day. He's my foil and my epic coach. I love him dearly. He adapted the club with a ramp. He put rails in the bathroom for me. He's been tremendous.
Wow.
And we have learned together how to parafence.
And what I hear, and I'd be curious if you feel like he would agree. I hear from a lot of coaches that make the transition from non-disabled sport, Olympic sport, or whatever, into Paralympic sport, that they feel like they become a better coach. Would he say that?
Yes, he has said that. Yes, he has. And he also said this has been quite the adventure. He's traveled to some national tournaments with me.
Yeah.
He flew to South Korea with me to compete in the World Championships. He's just been a rock for me with training me. He's just a dear friend to me now.
Yeah.
And it's a small club. I love my little club. We don't have a fencing frame there that we use in competitions. He drilled a hole in the floor and put two big eye screws in there and got some truck straps and hooked me to the front, hooked me to the back. And that's still how I fence today with those straps and those screws in the ground, and it works. Wow. He made it work.
Man, it sounds like he's an unsung hero in your story.
He is. It's been a team event for me. None of this I could have ever done on my own. From the first person would be Frida, because I don't drive, so she has to drive me to all these lessons, load the extra wheelchair, load all the gear. She helps Charlie strap me in. She helps me get my clothes on. There's no way I could have done it without her. And then Charlie, my coach, and then another coach for Sabre said, I really would like to train you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about Sabre. That's a little wild for me. He goes, no, I think you should try it. I love it. So Brent Myers is my Sabre coach. He's coached me all the way through. Mickey Zelkovich, my national coach, who has instilled the love of parafencing and just really, when you think you can't, dig deeper, because you probably can. And if not, you'll learn something from it. So the next time you can do better. It's just been a large group of people that have helped me get where I'm at. It wasn't a solo act at all.
Yeah, it rarely is, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So can you, just for people that don't know the sport that well, can you explain how it works with the chair and the platform and all that? And you explain a little bit of how you anchor at your club, but at the elite level, kind of how does it work? And then can you explain the different disciplines? Because I actually don't know the difference between the different disciplines.
Sure. There's 3 weapons in able-bodied fencing and parafencing, and I fence all 3: epee, saber, and foil. Foil is the smallest, thinnest blade. It's really whippy.
Mhm.
And at the end is a very small spring. And to score, you have to depress the spring on your opponent's lame. Now, most people are familiar with whites, the whole white jacket and the knickers, the socks, the shoes, everything. They're familiar with that. But the lame is metallic fabric. It's metal. And for a foil, it's looks kind of like a vest. It comes up around your neck and there's no arms in it, and it comes down to your waist. So to score, you have to have the right of way, and then you have to depress the little spring into the opponent's lame, and then you score.
So the lame is it means it's sort of a body blow. Is that
Yes,
essentially?
and
You got to hit the
wired
torso.
up.
You have to hit the torso, more or less.
Right, right. And you're wired up. You have a wire that comes out of your glove. It hooks into your weapon, goes around your neck, down your back, out over here, connects to a cord that goes to the scoring box.
Okay.
So it knows when you've made a hit. And if the white light goes off, it means you were off target. You probably hit him in the arm, or you hit him on the leg, or lower down where it doesn't count. If that happens, the bout stops and the ref starts it over again. In the pool bouts, you go to 5. They're 3 minutes long. Most of the time, they don't take 3 minutes.
So it's the first person to land 5 hits.
Right. First to 5 wins. And a lot of people think it's kind of like jousting, where you're like rolling down the strip after somebody, but you're locked in a frame. And it's a large metal frame, and you roll up into it, and there's 2 brackets like this, and they latch into your wheels and bolt down like that. And then there's a strap that goes through the front, and your chair can't move. But
you're allowed, once you're locked in, you're allowed to kind of move around and try to dodge.
Oh yes, you better move or you're gonna get hit. Yeah, you have to move. You have to move. If you sit still, it's over with. You can't sit still. No taking a nap during this stuff.
So the 3 disciplines are really the 3 different swords.
Right, the 3 weapons, yes. And like saber is the lame is the whole arms.
Okay,
and
got
also it's your hand and it's your face. With your mask on, they can pop you in the head. And in epee, it's the opposite. You wear your whites, and you have a skirt on that's made out of the lame material that comes from your waist down. It covers the bottom of your wheelchair. So if you hit that, it will not go off. That's off target. So you just hit on the jacket, the arms, wherever to make a score. And different weapons have different rules right away. In epee, both people, if you hit at the same time, both can score. But in foil and saber, only one person at a time can score if you have the right of way.
You keep saying right away. What does that mean?
You have to have your blade out and be advancing forward to score. If somebody, like if I drop back in the 5 position, I don't want to do it because I'll be off the screen, but you drop back in the 5 position and someone's coming at you and you have your blade back here and you happen to make contact, you don't have right of way.
Because you weren't moving.
Right. You have to have your blade out and be moving toward the
I
target
got you. I got you.
to score.
So
So
what? Yeah, go ahead.
each weapon, epee is the heaviest weapon, and it's very stiff. And when you get hit with that, you feel it. I mean, you get whelps and bruises. Well, you
Oh,
can from
really?
all. Oh yeah, yeah. Um,
You
from
look
all
so
three.
safe. You look so safe and protected behind that white suit. So it doesn't look
Oh
like.
no, no, that's not the truth. That helps you from getting cut open and bleeding, but it doesn't prevent from getting whelps and bruises.
All right, gotcha.
Of course, you want to try to avoid getting hit with the blade and getting any of that. But if you happen to be in the way of that blade, you're going to feel it. Yeah, you'll feel it.
Got it.
For a few days after, you're going to feel it.
So I'm really curious about a couple things. One is, how in the world did you get so good so fast? And two, which you can answer after that, is how does it feel to be in your 60s now and at this elite level? And are you competing against people in the middle of their lives, or are you competing against like young bucks that are coming up through the system? Like, who are you competing against, and how does it feel, to be one of the older athletes out there?
Um, you're right. I compete against all ages, and there are three categories in parafencing: A, B, and C. I'm a B category fencer, which most B fencers are paraplegic.
Mhm.
Most A fencers can walk around, and if you watch them at a tournament and you see them push their wheelchair up in there, like I saw Lauren DeLuca, I'm like, how the heck she do that?
Yeah.
Why did you sit in a wheelchair to fence? But
Mhm.
I found out that if you have certain disabilities like cerebral palsy or ataxia, maybe MS, or you're an amputee,
Mm.
then you're an A fencer and they're a higher level fencer.
Okay.
They have trunk control. The major difference is trunk control. I'm a B fencer because I have very, very poor trunk control.
Mhm.
So if I go to lunch and I stay out, I fall right over. So, and A fencers don't do that. They
And
can
a
hang
C and a
out.
category C has even less trunk control.
Yes. Most category C's are quadriplegics, and you're thinking, how in the world can somebody that's quadriplegic fence? They can. And one adaptation they have is their glove on their fencing hand usually has Velcro straps, and the weapon is Velcroed into their
Mm.
hand.
Mm.
And C category do compete nationally and on World Cup level, but they don't yet compete at the Paralympics. It's just A's and B's
Just A's and B's. I got you.
at the Paralympics. And I do compete against all ages. For female category B, I'm currently the oldest female fencer in the world. Yay!
Who's the
And
next? Who's the next oldest?
I have to look it up. I don't even know.
But are you mostly competing against people in their 20s and 30s, or what's the age? What's the typical career trajectory of a parafencer?
Um, the ages can really vary because some people have were born disabled or got a disability really early in life.
Mhm.
And then there's people that maybe were in a car accident or something in their 30s or something, and then they picked up the sport. So it really varies. Now, on the US team, my two teammates that are going to Tokyo with me, Shelby Jensen and Ellen Gettis, Shelby just turned 20. She was 17 when I met her. So when I first
Wow.
started fencing her, I was fencing a 17-year-old. And I was in my late 50s, and talk about intimidating. It was intimidating.
But when you
Um,
beat her, it must feel so good.
oh, the first time I beat her, I was like having a huge party inside, and her mom came up to me and said, way to go, Terry, way to go, Terry. And Shelby goes, Mom, because she was sitting right next to me, and Shelby goes, no, good job, Terry, you deserve it, good job for you. So I fence a variety of ages, 20s, 30s, 40s, 62 and below. I
Okay.
fence them.
All right. So you're a veteran fencer.
Yeah.
So, but how did you get so good so fast? That's what I don't understand. Because it seems like
Um,
to me, from a million miles away, I've never fenced. I've watched it. We've done some clinics at Angel City Sports, but it seems so technical. It seems like one of the sports that you'd want to do for a decade to really refine it. How did you get good so fast?
well, the decade would have been beneficial for me, let me tell you, that would help tremendously. But since I didn't start a decade ago, I got to go with what I got here.
Yes.
Um, a lot of it is having excellent coaches. My
Mhm.
coaches are excellent. They work me hard. I spent lots of hours training. Um, I'm I'm very dedicated to it. Um, anything I like to do. I like to do at 100%. I want to give my best possible effort to everything I do, no matter what it is. Whether it's making the bed in the morning, it looks good, or you know, writing a letter or an article, I want it to be good. And when I fence, I want to fence at the highest level I can fence at.
Mhm.
And so I train, I compete, I train, I compete, I train. um,
But did I read this
and in
correctly?
the pandemic, that was kind of challenging.
Say that
Go
last
ahead.
part again.
I said during the pandemic, that was kind of hard because at first it was everything. Uh, I was in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, and we started hearing, that's where I first heard about COVID in Washington State. And we were going to go home from camp, and I was going to have 4 days, and we were going to go to Brazil for our last World Cup and the America's Zonal Championship. So we were all geared to go. And the time I got home, I found out no Brazil, no World Cup, no zonal, everything stopping. And then came the dreaded news: the Paralympics have been postponed for a year, which is like, are you kidding me? I have to train at this level for an additional year. Wow, that's not so good. But I thought, well, I got an extra year to be better than I would have been if I would have gone last August. So our
So
national coach,
would you have made the team if the games were held in 2020? Do you think?
yes, I believe I would have. Yes,
But you're a
yes.
better fencer now than you were back then. So your chances
Oh,
of medaling are higher, you think?
yes. I don't know about medaling, but I'm going to go give it my best effort. Um, and our national coach realized that we had to keep training, even though nobody's club was open. There's, you know, nobody to bout. My wife doesn't know how to fence. What the heck am I going to do? So
You
he
have a
started.
dog. Could you just put the suit on your dog?
Well, my two dogs are mortified of fencing weapons. They run when I get them out. They're like, oh no, and they back right out the
Have they
room. So they're not
experienced?
interested in fencing.
How do they know to be scared of the weapons? Have they experienced the pain of the weapons, or they just see it?
No, no, it's noisy because, like, when I built a fencing dummy that I had to do so I could fence during the pandemic, and when that blade hits that mask, it's a loud noise,
And they don't
and
like
so
it.
no, just took one time of me whacking that, and I'm like, woo, not going along for that ride. So they no, they don't like to hang around when I fence. As soon as everything's put away and I roll out of the room, they're like, okay, we'll visit with you now.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but Nikki Zelkovich, our national coach, decided to start Zoom lessons. And I'll be honest, at first I was highly skeptical. I'm like, how in the heck is that going to work? Fencing with Zoom. I can't imagine that.
Mm.
Well, he's excellent, and he figured out a way to do it that's been very effective. I went on YouTube because I needed a fencing dummy, and I saw this other fencer make a dummy. So I'm like, okay, I can do the dummy. So we got the dummy made and hung it up in
But
our spare.
how do you make a fencing dummy? Did you just get a mannequin?
No, it's I took one of my extra fencing jackets, and I put a pillow in for the body, and it has the towel in for the arms, so the arms are out. And I hung that on a hanger, hung it on the wall, and put a mask above it. So I mean, it's not really a lot of competition for me, but I I know the areas where to hit, and I can attack, I can retreat, I can parry, I can repost, I can do all that off
And
of the
where
dome.
where in your house does the fencing dummy hang?
Well, we used to have a spare bedroom, which is now the fencing gym. So if anyone wants to come and visit, you have to wait a while because there's fencing gear all over in there. And I have 2 Zoom fencing lessons a week with my national coach. And then finally, my local coach said I could come in for lessons in March, just him and I and Frida, because the club was still not open. But he said, I know you really need to train. So
So you were
um,
out of a training facility for a year.
yes,
Wow.
yes, yes.
Were you worried about making the team again, or did you feel like you were in good shape?
I felt like I was in really good shape, and the more I trained, the better shape I felt like I was in. Now, when
Even though you had to spar with a fencing dummy for a year.
yes, yes, everybody else pretty much had to do the same thing. We're kind of all in the same boat here,
Well,
no matter
the
what.
beauty of your journey too is you're such a new fencer that all the training you get is moving you up the skill curve more than others probably. They have all plateaued, but you're moving up.
There's nowhere to go for up but up for me. Let me tell you, it's like, okay, here's where I'm at, but this is, I need to be able to do this, this, and this. Okay, let me work on this. Let me work on this. So I'm constantly trying new moves or just making real detail refinements to hand positions and body positions, to maximize every time I lunge or retreat, that everything is in perfect alignment. My arm is where it needs to be, my hand, the weapon, my whole body. There's a lot that goes into fencing. It's been called a mental chess game at 90 miles an hour. So you have to
Well,
plan not only what am I going to do now, but what do I think they're going to do that I need to do to counteract that. And if they don't do that and they do this, then what am I going to do?
let's take a quick break to learn more about the equipment loaner program at Angel City Sports.
Part of our mission at Angel City Sports is to eliminate all barriers to participation in adaptive sports. Providing free adaptive sports equipment is a major component to this objective. Each individual piece of equipment can cost more than $3,000. Can you imagine if running shoes cost that much? So we're building an inventory of adaptive sports equipment to support our clinics, competitions, partner programs, and to loan out to emerging local athletes. Currently, we have racing wheelchairs, throwing chairs, and sport wheelchairs, perfect for tennis and basketball. If you or an athlete you know need a piece of adaptive sports equipment, visit the Equipment Opportunities page at angelcitysports.org. If you are interested in donating equipment or supporting the Equipment Loaner program, email us at info@angelcitysports.org.
Talk to me a little bit about what are your longer term goals with the sport? How long do you think you can compete at this level? I know you feel like you're still getting better. So this last COVID year improved your skills.
Right.
Where do you see it going? Do you feel like you could stay in this through Paris 2024 or LA 2028? What are you thinking?
Right now, I'm not really sure. I also have systemic lupus, which takes a toll on my body. And parafencing really takes a toll on your body. It really does. I have issues with the hip that I broke, because that's the hip that smacks into the side of my wheelchair every time I go back. And so I've had to work through some issues with that, get additional physical therapy. I sit down a lot of home PT and massages. So that's an issue I continue to work with. It's gotten better lately. I saw another doctor that put me on a different therapy regimen, and that's seemed to help a lot. So I don't know. I don't know where I'll go. I know I won't come home and quit. That much I know. And whether I'll still compete internationally and try for the next games in Paris, or if I'll just compete within the US, I haven't decided yet. I want to see how things go and see how my body holds up after these 3 camps I'm going to, and then how I do in Tokyo and how I feel afterwards. So I'm kind of on a wait and see how it's going to go.
I got you. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I plan to be in Tokyo, so I will try to get in to see you compete, and I would love to see you in Paris as well. So I'll keep my eyes out for you. So this sort of final section is I call it the soul searching section. And I ask some soul probing questions, but I'm going to start with a fun one, which is like, what's something fun, silly, interesting that I don't know about you? Just a fun, silly fact.
Okay, let's see. Fun and silly fact. Oh, we have a talent show in the little community I live in, and I played Edith Ann one year, and it was up in the big yellow chair. And I hope people know who Edith Ann is. And she's a Lily Tomlin character, a 5-year-old girl. And so I was up in this big yellow monster chair like she's sitting in, with a little girl's dress on that I got at the thrift store, and roll down socks with ruffles on them and patent leather shoes, and I had the whole script done. And I was scared to death to do it.
Why? What were you so scared about?
Well, I had written up a script that I had tried out on just a couple people, and they thought it was hilarious. But I thought, what if I forget what if I forget it? What if I get up there with
Did you have like a little cheat sheet with you?
Well, I thought, how am I going to do this if they don't know, just some key words to remember? So I got a children's book and I typed them and I taped it inside. So when I was up there, I kind of had the book like this, and then I would lay it down and I would hold it up and I would just glance down, and then I knew what the next joke was going to be.
That's brilliant.
It was great. I brought the house down and I shocked myself. And then, so the next time they had it, I was Wayne Newton and I sang Donkasheen. And that's when I was still walking, and I had the little tuxedo on, and I got this wig that looked just like him. And I lip synced.
So you're an actress. You're an actress.
It was funny as heck. And I had so much fun doing it. And when I was practicing for it, Frida was like, if I have to hear that song one more time, I'm going to scream, because I was playing it constantly and lip syncing in the mirror, because I thought, if I'm going to do it, I got to make it look like it's me singing this. That was a scream. I enjoyed doing that. That was fun.
You're pretty fearless. I mean, that sounds like my worst nightmare. It doesn't even, there's nothing about that appeals to me. So kudos to you.
So there's a new goal for you. You need to be in a talent show. Put that on your to-do list.
Oh gosh, you couldn't pay me to do anything like that. I have hard enough time just being myself, let alone faking it. All right. So tell me, you've had a really long and interesting journey with disability. What has disability taught you?
More patience, resilience, time management. I was always a person to be on time, and things radically changed when I used to be able to walk down the stairs, go out, jump in the car, start it up, and go somewhere if I wanted to. Yep. And those days are long gone. Now I have to plan, okay, I got to make sure I go to the bathroom before I go. Right. Frida has to get the van, pull it around, drop the ramp down. I have to wheel out, get in, lock it all in, go wherever we're going, get out and all that. So I've had to try to figure out the best use of my time, so that I'm where I need to be when I need to be there, and I'm not always 20 minutes late, which I can't stand. So those kinds of skills, I think, and probably more empathy for other people, for what their struggles are and what they're going through, whether it's something you can see or somebody that's just having a bad day and needs a hug. That everybody always needs a little something. You just need to try to find out what that is and help them find it within themselves.
I love the empathy comment, and I'm the father of a child with a disability, a congenital amputee, and I really feel like I am a more empathetic human being, just being connected to the community, let alone actually experiencing disability. So I believe that one. Talk to me a little bit about self-acceptance. You seem so happy and positive and pushing through all kinds of crazy challenges. What is, what's been your journey to accept your disability and accept yourself for what's going on with your body?
Um,
And what have you learned from that journey?
I think for me personally, um, at first I was, especially when I first became paralyzed, it's like, I really don't want to live this way, this kind of stinks. And I did, like I think everybody does, you run off this list in your head of, well, I'm not going to be able to do this now. I'm not going to be able to do this and forget that. Um, and I probably did that for a day or two. And I thought that's not helping here. Um, that's just put me in a negative place that I don't want to be. I want to stay in a positive place. So I started thinking, what can I still do? Well, I can still bathe myself. I can still go out with Frida and walk the dogs. I can still go to the store. I can still do the art projects that I like to do. I do glass mosaics, and I can still do them with no problem. I can still have friends. I can go to the movies. I can still swim. So I just let that side of the list pile up taller than I ever allowed the other side to get.
Mm.
And that just helped me to figure it's not bad. It's just different. I'm just different now, but I'm still basically the same person. I just, I roll around instead of walk around, really is the only difference.
Right.
And I always have a seat to sit in. So, I mean, that's a bonus.
I love that. Okay, so what life accomplishments are you most proud of? Could be sport, could be beyond sport. It doesn't have to be sport.
Um, I would say one of them, well, I have a couple. One was graduating from basic training. That was a difficult task. So I was very proud of that.
Difficult because it's difficult, or difficult thinking that, oh, actually you had your disability then, and the coordination and the physical aspect was challenging.
No, just physically difficult for everybody that
Yeah.
goes through it. And mentally it's difficult. They throw everything at you. So
Right.
I was very proud when I graduated. That was a proud moment. When I got my master's degree,
Mm.
I had to work really hard for that. And I was very proud of myself for being able to accomplish that. Um, and I was very proud to be able to get married in the United States. A lot of people take that for granted, but I wasn't afforded that opportunity until the Supreme Court said I could. And I was so proud the day I got married. I just was overjoyed. I'm still overjoyed every day. So I'm very proud of that. I've been an activist for gay and lesbian rights for years and years and years. A lot of Congress. Um, and I just always feel like everybody deserves the same rights, regardless of who you are. So those were some proud moments for me, and definitely a proud moment I'm looking forward to coming up is rolling into the Paralympic ceremonies with my Team USA uniform on. I think I'm probably going to be a sobbing mess, but it will be from joy. I'll be so overjoyed with happiness. Very excited about that one.
Did you went to the Pan American Games, the Pan American Games?
Fencing's not included in that. We have
You have your own.
America's zonal championship.
I
Yes,
got
I
you.
did
Okay,
go to
gotcha.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that opening ceremonies for that was really pretty cool, and it was not on the scale of the Paralympics. Uh, is there a quote or a saying that you try to live by?
Um, Well, I have a favorite Bible verse that I like, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I totally believe in that. And uh, my mom and dad both used to say, and I believe it, if you think you can do it, you can. If you think you can't, you never will.
Hmm.
Um, so I just always think I can do everything. Um, and if it doesn't work out the first time, I back up, regroup, and go at it again. So
That
just
sounds
don't
like
give
a
up.
good soldier.
Yeah, don't give up. Just don't give up.
That's
You
great.
can take a rest if you're tired, but don't give up.
Yes. All right. What do you think your purpose is?
My purpose? Um, I think my purpose probably is just to try to make people happy, to smile, to be a light in the world, to give people hope. Um, every day on my Facebook page and the two pages here in the community I live, I always post something that's uplifting every day. I do it. And it can be about gratitude, peace, joy, happiness, you name it. And that's a nice way for me to start my day, for me to look at it, for me. And then I share that with my friends. And I've had so many people come up to me and say, Terry, I'm so thankful you put that on there. I look forward to your little happy message every morning. It starts my day off. So when people started saying that, I said, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm,
I'm, I'm supposed to be sharing a little sunshine with people and make them feel a little better about things. And I enjoy doing that because it makes me feel better too.
yeah, that's wonderful. All right, for the wrap up, I give you the microphone. Is there
Uh-oh.
anything we haven't covered? Anything you want to say? You acknowledged a lot of people on your team already, but is there anybody you missed you want to talk about? And then also let our audience know where they can follow your journey. What social media channels, kind of how do they track you down?
Um, like I said, my wife is number one, and my coaches and Jenny, my teammates,
Mm,
Shelby, Jensen, Ellen Gettis going to the Paralympic Games with me. I'm so thankful for their insight and for their encouragement, and also to Curtis Lovejoy and Joey Brunson, two teammates on the parafencing team that are no longer with us, that have passed away, that were probably going to go to Tokyo with us. And they both told me from the first time they met me years ago, um, don't give up. The first time I went to training camp in Colorado, I had to fence Joey, and he was a two-time Paralympian. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You guys are kidding me, right? You're putting me in the rack next to him, and I've only been fencing like 6 months. This isn't going to end good. And Joey leaned over and he took my hand and he said, I'm not going to hurt you. Don't be afraid of me. He goes, we're all in this together. We're going
mm,
to use it as a learning opportunity. I'm not out to trash you. And he didn't. And of course, he beat me. He could have beat me a lot worse than he did, but he beat me. But he did it in a way that didn't make me feel like I was not capable of ever fencing. Um, he was kind and generous, and Curtis Lovejoy was the same way, kind and generous, loving, very supportive. Everybody on the team has been that way, and I'm so thankful
mm.
um, that we have such good people and family members of uh, people on our team that have been supporting and encouraging. It's just been a wonderful experience.
That's beautiful. And how can people follow you?
Um, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Um, and I don't have the exact handles written down. Sorry.
It's okay. We
Um,
we can include them in the show notes, but if they kind of search your name, they'll get close to it.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And I also, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, I have a GoFundMe page
Sure.
to help with travel expenses, and that's under Paralympic hopeful Terry Hayes,
Hmm.
um, North Fort Myers, and that'll pop up. And a lot of people think that the U.S. pays for everything for you. but that's not true. I have to pay for all my own travel within the US to all the camps and to all the World Cups I went to.
Right.
Uh, and I have 3 camps coming up, so that's 3 more airline tickets I have to get. And I pay for my own gear and all, everything that I need to fence.
Right.
And people have been generous helping me out with that, and I appreciate everybody that's donated. It's made a difference.
Great. Yeah, we'll drop the GoFundMe link into the show notes. And
Thank
listen,
you.
just to wrap it up, Terry, so honored to get to know you a little bit better. You and I found each other on LinkedIn, which is really
Yes,
cool. And
yes.
you were quick to respond and kind and gracious. So thank you for your time today. We are cheering you on in Tokyo. We're so excited. And I know we may not get to watch it on TV, but I will try to get into that arena if I can. But just have a great time, enjoy the ride, and look forward to catching up when you get back.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in Tokyo. I hope I do get to meet you in person.
Isn't Terry's story amazing? I'm so in awe of her dedication to sport, especially her home training regimen. In our next episode features wheelchair rugby player Joe Delagrave. Don't miss that one.